after the victory party and all the, high fives and excitement and staying up all night and all that, I think there is a daunting reality that you won. You're going to be in charge soon. There will be people who have been in the government who might stay or who you might want to stay. There are people who will not stay, or some you don't want to stay, and then everybody in between. When you first come into office, it's a little bit like a startup. You have to create, at least the leadership at a variety of levels in different departments and agencies. Almost all of the people in the mayor's office, more than likely, are going to be brand new.
So the idea is to be able to achieve your goals, make sure that you have the right team, the right infrastructure in place. Because if you don't, you're going to make your job harder. I knew that if I started just by myself with the structure that existed, it would have been very hard to make that kind of structural change early on. Because we trained as a team, we learned as a team how to work to solve these problems. If I changed the team midstream, like changing horses midstream, that would have been very difficult.
Well, I ran for office at a time when many people thought that the government was not serving the people on a daily basis. There had been some investigations of the prior administration that were front page news. So during my campaign, I promised that I would seek the advice and counsel of professionals, not necessarily in a particular field, but civic leaders and business leaders and professional and grassroots leaders in giving me advice and counsel on who the right candidates were. And my pledge was that I would hire from the candidates that recommended. And I followed that in the top 5 positions. One of the most important elements of that is having a really clear vision of who you're looking for. We would describe it as we wanted leaders who could drive the car and change the tire at the same time.
I put together a very young team. I was criticized to some extent that, not only did I not have experience governing, but now I was bringing in a bunch of young 20-somethings and some 30-somethings, and it was going to be a flop because we didn't know what we were doing. And I told them that was precisely my strategy, was to hire people that did not have that institutional history. A lot of them were people that were successful in their own, whatever it was they were doing, in their own right. And my challenge to them was, give me 2, 3, 4 years of public service, and then you can go back and make all the money that you want, but just give me some time. And a lot of them came that way. They did not, clearly they were not interested in a pension. They were not interested in working for the city for 20, 30 years. They just saw an opportunity, saw in me someone that they felt they can work with and actually change the city for the better.
What I really took inspiration from President John F. Kennedy, and we said we wanted to put out a call to the best and brightest, and thousands of people from across the country sent their resumes into our transition organization, and some of those folks ended up working in the government. We recruited people to come in to the government. There were certainly campaign folks who came in as well. I guess the number one issue, the number one attribute that we were looking for was high quality people who were committed to our vision of the future, who are committed to ethics, who are committed to public service, and wanted to give something to this great city.
Had I been 28, I was 38 when I became mayor, had I been 28, I'm not sure I would have had the confidence level to be able to make decisions against sort of the way normal people think, that you got to bring your own people to make sure they're loyal, clean, sweep clean, all of the people in the past. I jokingly said that the people that I kept, and I kept all of his cabinet members except one, they actually had 3 years probation with me because I got to see him as president of council. We're a majority Democratic city, so the previous mayor was Democrat, so it wasn't a political decision. And I really got very comfortable with his staff people and felt very, very good about their competency level and the experience they brought.
One of the reasons I ran is because the city manager in Mesa was somebody who I had a great deal of respect for.
And I don't think I would not have run had the previous administration been there. But this was a fairly new city manager that I didn't hire, but I thought a lot of him, and we worked extremely well together. He made a lot of the changes with the personnel. A lot of the old guard was either swept out or they decided to leave on their own. We brought in people that wanted to be innovative. We brought in people that wanted to have a challenge. And we brought in people that wanted to make change. I find that there's a big difference between being a number 2 or 3 in an organization and being a number 1. And just because someone was part of an organization or was an assistant or a deputy head doesn't discount them. And so we talked to people and wondered what they would do if they were freed up, if they were given the reins, if they were challenged. And we did a lot of internal promotions, but we also brought people in from outside the city, from outside the state.
And you have to understand that the big majority of your workforce, your deployment, are going to be people you inherit. And so you have to be very judicious on the people that you hire. You want to pick young people and give them rein. And if I had to do it over again, I'd do that. I'd extend it even more. This notion of trying to get exactly the right fit for a job is overblown. You get these search firms that you look all over the country for, they're just the right this or that for this or that. No, just hire. If you hire a really good person who's really smart, knows how to work with people, they can do most of these jobs. Now there's some where you have, like the chief medical examiner would be, you need some credentials for certain jobs, but by and large, just hire some good people, get them working on some quick wins, and that's the way to victory in my mind.